We have a CompuBox legend in Antonio Margarito. That's for sure.
Yes, we do.
He broke the record against Joshua Clottey in his it was the second to last fight.
Right.
Against Clottey. He threw 1,675 punches in 12 rounds.
In 12 rounds, which is about like 140 rounds.
Oh,
which
Lord.
Is incredible.
And that's the welterweight record.
It's the welterweight as far as the all-time record.
Right.
He broke Zach Padilla's record, which stood for 15 years.
Against Ray Oliveira.
Against Ray Oliveira.
And Ray Oliveira's involved in like a lot of CompuBox records, I'm sure, because I've seen his name on a couple of
because Padilla and Oliveira combined to throw the most punches in a fight, which is 3,020.
That's
so,
deep.
It's crazy. Yeah,
That's conditioning.
That was one of the few fights we wanted to actually end, because they were just throwing so many punches. Like, okay, my fingers are starting to get sore here. But,
Right.
But Margarito broke that record. That's almost 1,700 punches against Clottey. And the interesting thing is, he threw his highest totals in the later rounds too. He didn't tire.
Wow.
He sustained that attack throughout the whole fight.
Yeah.
Which might not bode too well for Mr. Cotto.
That's for sure. That's for sure. We're gonna definitely talk about that. And I was wondering, like the 3-fight averages for Margarito and for Antonio Margarito against last fight against Kermit Citron, which was his second fight against Citron, another destruction of Citron. Then Paul Williams, which he lost to because he started very slowly and he vowed never to do that again.
Again.
And then Joshua Clottey, so which was Clottey was actually Clottey was before Paul Williams. So correction on that last one was Paul Williams was after Clottey, and that was the second to last fight that Margarito had. But he landed 26 punches, threw 98 punches, and that's a connect percentage of 27%.
Right.
That's 100 punches a round, basically 3 fights in a row.
3 fights. That's the way that's his MO. I mean, he just comes out and throws punches. And actually, it's 40 punches more than the welterweight average.
Wow, that's
right. So
it's
almost, I mean, you're talking about 40% more punches. And again, he sustains it throughout the fight. It's not like he comes out in the first couple of rounds and throws and then tires out. He throws for 12 rounds. And again, the only fight he didn't do that was the Williams fight. And I think it was partially because of Williams' style. The lanky southpaw. And Williams was throwing a fair amount of punches, too. So I think for whatever the reason, Margarito had his problems getting on track against Williams. But I don't think that's going to be the case with Cotto.
Right.
Cotto shows movement, but he's not nowhere near as awkward as Williams. So Cotto is going to be there, I would think, for Margarito to get to if he... if Margarito chooses to throw this many punches.
That's right. And speaking about Miguel Cotto, his last 3 fights, Alfonso Gomez, his last fight, the fight before that, Shane Mosley, and then the fight before that, Zab Judah, he landed 26 punches, the same amount average landed by Margarito per round, and threw 36 less than Margarito. So he's very economical with his punches, and he's accurate in 42% connect percentage. So.
Yeah, I mean, again, like you say, he's economical, and I think he hits harder than Margarito, too.
Sits on his punches more.
Sits on his punches and throws more punches, different array of punches. And he lands higher than the welterweight average, because the average welterweight lands 35%. So Cotto's landed 7% higher, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it is. Because if you 1 or 2 punches can make the difference in a fight.
That's right.
So also a thing, too, with Cotto, we found, too, over the years, the less punches you throw, the less chances you give the opponent to counter. If you're a little economical with your shots, you're not leaving yourself open as much.
Right.
So that's an interesting point with back to Margarito. If he's going to be throwing 100 punches around against Cotto, okay, he may wear Cotto down, but he's going to leave himself open to be hit by punches. Because when you're throwing, you can't be concentrating on defense when you're throwing so many punches.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see what Margarito's punch count is. It might be he may come out throwing too much and leave himself open.
That's right. And speaking of that, we were talking earlier about the jab that Margarito throws. He doesn't really throw a convincing jab, and it's not that accurate either. And he's 5'11". He has pretty much a 3 to 4 inch height advantage over Cotto. So I mean, and we would talk about like great fighters like Tommy Hearn, Salvador Sanchez. They knew how to mix it up on the outside and inside and be effective. So can Antonio Margarito throw that jab with conviction and use his height at any point in the fight?
I don't think that's his style, really. I think he uses the jab more like as a rangefinder. Try to set up his punches to get in close, because that seems to be where he likes to do his damage.
Right.
He again, he throws it just to get into position to throw his power punches. So I don't think that Margarito's jab is what's going to win this fight for him. It's going to be, if he does win, it's going to be his his relentless attack. That's going to that'll carry him through if he's successful. You know, he's dealing with one of the top fighters in the game today with Cotto, who's
That's
improving. Right. I think is improving his technical skills a bit.
Oh yeah, absolutely, more and more, and it's funny, and Cotto's body punching. That's of course that left hook to the body is synonymous with his arsenal and everything like that. So I was wondering, Margarito, he could be susceptible to body shots, definitely. Like, do you think Cotto could possibly really break him down in that output?
Yeah, I think, if you couple in the fact that Cotto's a great body puncher, he's especially with the left hand, he's a converted southpaw. Margarito at times tends to come in too, I wouldn't say with his head down, but there's times where he's not totally focused on his opponent. He hunches over a bit, and that might give Cotto the opportunity to come to the body, and then, like we were talking about earlier, maybe the uppercut too could be a key punch in this fight too. So I mean, it's very possible that Cotto could overwhelm Margarito, just with all coming off the body attack.
Right.
But I wanted to talk a little bit about Cotto's jab, too, which has been improving over his last couple of fights.
And the quickness of the jab, the way it comes out. I mean, the difference was against Mosley, that quickness. It was quicker than Shane.
Quicker than Shane. I think it shocked Shane in the early going. He was actually outboxing Shane and out-jabbing him, which no one expected.
Right. And Shane had a 8-inch reach advantage, right? Like an 8-inch reach advantage over Cotto.
Over
right?
Cotto's, and still, it's the quickness of it, the quickness of Cotto's jab. Only thing in that fight later in the rounds, though, Cotto, he boxed, but he was on his bicycle a bit. I mean, I think he won two of the late rounds just by being on his bicycle, but I don't know if that would be the right formula against Margarito.
Oh, not at all.
I don't, if he starts backing up, if Margarito's able to back Cotto up, then it could be a long night for Cotto.
And the fact that Margarito throws, like we were saying, nearly 100 punches
right,
around.
Right.
It's like, the judges are going to see that as effective aggressiveness, that Margarito's chasing him and throwing punches.
Right. Definitely. So that's what, there's so many intangibles in this fight that, I mean, anything could happen, really. I mean, the only thing I don't think would happen is an early blowout by Margarito. I don't know if he could take Cotto out early, but it wouldn't totally shock me if Cotto caught him at something early.
Right,
and took him out. Although if I had a bet, I would say it's going to go, I would go over. I would bet I think it's going to go rounds. So
definitely.